From the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C.
Is the Scream of the Haunted Mask in the Goosebumps Horrorland series. And unfortunately, after his presentation, he won't be able to sign any books because he has to run and catch either a train or a plane or a car. I'm not sure which. But if you do have questions, all three. If you do have questions, there are microphones over there and over there. And it's such a crowded tent that the microphones really help. Please join me in welcoming R.L. Stine.
Wow. Boy, I didn't expect such a big crowd. Thank you all for staying so late. Thank you. I'm really flattered. I'm back doing Goosebumps books. I'm doing a whole new series of Goosebumps books called Goosebumps Horrorland. I'm doing 12 new ones. How many of you have seen them? How many of you seen them? Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. The newest titles are Scream of the Haunted Mask and Dr. Maniac versus Robbie Schwartz. And the Horrorland books are a little special. They're a little bit different because you get 2 stories in every book. You get a complete Goosebumps story in the front with a lot of the old villains like Slappy the Evil Dummy and Monster Blood and the Evil Camera and a lot of new villains as well. And then, just when you think it's safe to close the book, there's a second story. And the second story takes place in Horrorland Amusement Park, the scariest place on Earth. And in Horrorland, in this section, this is a 12-part continuing story. And it continues and gets scarier and scarier in each book. A bunch of kids are invited to Horrorland, asked to be special guests. But when they get there, they find that the scares are a little bit too real. And they find out they've been invited to Horrorland for a reason. And they're in horrible danger. And now they want to escape Horrorland. And that's what the 12-part serial is about in these new books. The other new thing that we have that we couldn't do before is we have an amazing website for Horrorland. How many of you have seen enterhorrorland.com? Well, if you go, thank you. If you go to enterhorrorland.com, you can actually go into Horrorland and ride the rides and play all the games. It's a really, it's a very cool website. And you can also pick up a lot of clues about what's happening in the new Goosebumps books. You know what? I thought maybe today you and I could try to write a ghost story together. Maybe a Horrorland ghost story. Do you think we could do it? Think we could do it? Let's give it a try. I have to say, this is the first time I've ever done this. So it might be a little bit rocky. It might be a little bit scary for me. Our story is called The Ghost of Horrorland. And the first thing I need is the name of a boy. Who has a good boy's name for me? You're going to have to be real loud, one at a time, real loud. What? Joel? Joel. Okay, Joel is the name of our boy. And now Joel comes to Horrorland with his friends. He has a guitar on his back because his friends and he are in a band. It's not a very good band, but they have a lot of fun, and they decided to go to Horrorland. Hey, what's the name of the band? Help me out here. Who has a good name for the band? Yeah, real loud. The what? The Rockers. All right, okay. The Rockers, that's the name of his band. Anyway, Joel is walking around with his pals, and he gets separated from them. He loses them. He can't find his friends anywhere. And he says, oh, well, I might as well have fun. I'll find them later. I might as well do some things. So he sees 2 rides in front of him. The first ride is called The Tunnel of Hate. And the second ride is called The Hurricane of Doom. Help me write this story. Which one should he take? Which one should Joel take? Let's vote. Let's vote. How many think Joel should take the Tunnel of Hate? How many think he should take the Hurricane of Doom? All right. All right. Joel goes into the Hurricane of Doom. A big wind comes up. It's a ferocious wind. It lifts him off the ground and blows him right to the Tunnel of Hate. He says, thank you. He says, well, I might as well take the Tunnel of Hate. It's a canoe ride that goes into this river, that goes into a dark tunnel. He climbs into the canoe, and when he reaches for the paddle, he hears a girl's voice. Can I ride with you? So we need the name of a girl. Who has a good Rachel? Rachel is our girl. All right, Rachel. She says, hi, Joel, I'm Rachel. Can I ride with you? And he says, sure. She jumps into the canoe behind him, and she takes the paddle. And she starts paddling, and they go into the tunnel. And it's very dark, and the water is very still. And it gets colder. The farther they go into the tunnel, it gets colder. And then suddenly the water starts to toss, and the waves begin to lap against the side of the canoe. And Joel looks out ahead, and he sees something coming toward them. It's another canoe, and it's coming the wrong way. It's coming right toward them. And as the canoe comes closer, Joel sees these strange kids inside the canoe. They're sitting very stiffly, and they're not moving. And their faces are blue, and their eyes are wide, staring straight ahead. Zombies! Zombies, Joel says. We've got to do something. They're going to crash right into us. He says, Rachel, start paddling the other way. Start paddling the other way, fast. And she says, oh, calm down. This is a fun ride. So Joel knows he's in major trouble. What should he do? What should he do? Should he grab the paddle and start paddling backwards toward the exit, the entrance? Or should he jump out of the canoe into the water and swim for his life? What do you think? What do you think? Let's vote. Let's vote. How many think he should start paddling backwards? How many think he should jump in and swim for his life? All right. Joel stands up. He's about to jump in the water when suddenly, from underneath the canoe in the water, a hand pops up from the water and grabs his ankle. And he falls back into the canoe. And the zombies come closer, closer, and the zombie canoe crashes right into Joel, and goes right through him. And he's frozen. He's frozen there. It's suddenly so cold. But the zombie canoe passes right through him in the other way. And he turns to Rachel. He says, Rachel, do you believe what you... Rachel is gone. I don't know. Did Rachel go off with the zombies? We don't know. But sitting in the canoe is a hideous ghost. A terrifying ghost. Now, help me write this. What does the ghost look... You have to be really loud here. One at a time. What does the ghost look like? What does a ghost look like? Yes. Real loud. It has what? What does it have? Horns. The ghost has horns covered in blood. What else about the ghost? What about this hideous ghost? Yes. What? He's made out of Jell-O. Hey, you're starting to scare me. What else about the ghost? What else? Yes, real loud. big hair. All right. It's a very hairy ghost. This is a real ugly ghost. What else? What else? What? Yes. I can't hear you. He looks like who? Bernie. Oh, he looks like Barney. He looks like a purple dinosaur. I don't know. Now we need a lot of help in this story. All right, that's all right. And the ghost says, "This is a fun ride. Too bad it's your last ride." Whoa! Joel knows he has to act fast. What can he do? This hideous ghost, he looks down, and in the bottom of the canoe, he sees two things. He sees a guitar pick, and he sees a book. And the book is called How to Get Ghosts Out of Your Canoe. Which one? Which one should Joel use? How many think Joel should take the book? Come on. How many think he should take the guitar pick? All right. Okay. He takes the guitar pick. If you voted for the book says use the guitar pick. He takes it. He takes his guitar and he tells the monster, "I just want to sing one last song." And he strums his guitar and he starts to sing. And the monster covers his ears and he sings a little more. And the monster says, "That's the worst singing I ever heard." And the monster lets out a hideous scream. What does the scream sound like? What does the scream? Yes. And the monster, very good, very good. And the monster blows up into a million pieces. And Joel is so happy. His singing saved the day. He's so happy. He paddles out. He paddles the canoe out. He climbs out of the canoe. He goes running, and he sees his friends. And he runs to his friends, and he says, Guys, you won't believe what happened to me. He stops. His friends look different. They're walking very stiffly. Their faces are blue, and their eyes are wide. And they say, "Check out this girl we met." And out of the middle is Rachel. And Rachel says, "I know some other fun rides." And that's our ghost story. Thank you. Thank you for helping me. Thank you so much. That's really the first time I ever did that, so that was pretty good. You're the guinea pigs for that ghost story. If I publish it, I have to put all your names on the cover, right? How many of you have ever seen a ghost? How am I doing here? How many of you have ever seen a real ghost? Not on TV, I mean a real ghost. Yeah, you have? Really? So many? Whoa. Well, I don't know. I don't know if I've ever seen a ghost or not. I might have. I'm going to tell you a true story. This happened to my brother Bill and me when we were kids back in Ohio. And maybe we saw a ghost, I don't know. It was Halloween, and I was about, 10 years old, so Bill was 7 or 8. And it was Halloween, and we were going trick-or-treating. And we were very excited because it was the first time we were allowed to go trick-or-treating on our own. No parents. And so we were very excited about it. We both dressed up as ghosts. We had sheets over ourselves. And I took a can, you know that crazy string? You know that stuff, they spray string? And I tucked it under my costume just in case we had to string somebody. And Bill and I went out, It was a cold October night. I remember the frost crunching under our shoes. It's that kind of cold that clings to the back of your neck. And we looked around. We had big bags to collect our candy for trick-or-treating. We always started across the street at Mrs. Dawson's house. She was always the first one we went to. But tonight, Mrs. Dawson's house was completely dark. And I said, Bill, I guess she isn't home. There's nobody there. He said, oh, okay, I guess we'll just have to go on. So we went on trick-or-treating, and we were very poor. And we lived in a very poor neighborhood with little houses very close together, which was great at Halloween time, because you could really hit a lot of houses. You didn't have to walk that far. And we went down a couple blocks collecting candy and back, down, and then we came back. And by the time we came back, our bags were pretty full. It was great. We had a lot of candy bars. And I looked across the street. We were about to go back in the house, and there was a light on in Mrs. Dawson's living room in the front window. And I said, oh, I guess she came home. Let's go over there, Bill. And we started across the street, and I saw that in the front window was a jack-o'-lantern, a big orange jack-o'-lantern, glowing, all orange and yellow, with a big grin, a big jagged grin on its face. So we walked up to Mrs. Dawson's door, and I rang the bell, and Bill and I waited, and we waited. So I knocked on the door, and I rang the bell again, and I waited. And Bill said, she's in there. String her, Bob. So I took out the can of string, and I raised it to the door. I was about to string her door, and I stopped. And I stared in the front window because the jack-o'-lantern had changed. It wasn't orange anymore. It was this fiery red. And instead of smiling, the jack-o'-lantern had this scowl on its face, this really ugly scowl. And I said, Bill, let's get out of here. There's something weird here. So Bill and I started running down the driveway, and we were about halfway down the drive when the door swung open, and Mrs. Dawson came out. And I still remember, she was in this long gray nightgown. I remember her nightgown fluttering in the wind, and she called to us. She said, why did you wake me? Why did you wake me? And I said, oh, I'm sorry, Mrs. Dawson. I'm really sorry. I have to ask you just one thing. How did you do that with the jack-o'-lantern in the window? And she said, jack-o'-lantern? I don't have a jack-o'-lantern. And Bill and I looked in the window, and it was totally black. Well, we ran into the house, and we looked at our candy. We didn't talk about it. We didn't say another word about it. We just didn't want to. We just looked at our candy. We had some candy. We went to bed. And the next morning, when I woke up, I got dressed for school, and I thought, I really should go apologize to Mrs. Dawson for waking her up. So I got all dressed, I went outside, and I crossed the street, and there was a big moving van in her driveway, and all these workers coming in and out. So I went into the house looking for her, and this worker said, what do you want, kid? And I said, oh, I want to, the worker said, kid, I guess you're getting new neighbors. And I said, why? What do you mean? And he said, oh, I'm sorry. Didn't you know? Mrs. Dawson died 2 weeks ago. That's my true ghost story. Thank you very much. Thank you. 10 minutes. Do you think I made up some of that true story? What? What do you think? You think maybe I made up a lot of it? I don't know. That's my true story. Here's a chapter from the brand new Goosebumps Horrorland, The Scream of the Haunted Mask. It's told by Carly Beth Caldwell, who stars in the original Haunted Mask. And this is the very first chapter of the book. And I hope you'll check out these new Goosebumps Horrorland books. I clicked on the basement light. Then I gripped the iron banister and took a step down. The stair creaked beneath me. I took another step, squinting into the yellow light. The cold stairs chilled my bare feet. I lifted my long nightshirt so I wouldn't trip over it as I made my way down. In sleep, my straight brown hair had fallen over my face. I brushed it back over my shoulders. My hand trembled with fear. I heard a hum in the basement as the furnace clicked on. Another stair squeaked beneath me. What am I doing? Why was I creeping down to the basement in the middle of the night? It wasn't my idea. I didn't want to do it. I was being pulled against my will. Carly Beth, Carly Beth. As if the terrifying mask was calling my name, the ugly haunted mask that tried to ruin my life, tried to destroy my brain, tried to turn me evil, and now it was calling me, forcing me down the stairs and across the cold basement floor. Carly Beth, Carly Beth. I suddenly felt so weak and tiny, like a piece of dust caught in a powerful vacuum cleaner. My hands flew off the table. I stumbled forward, my toes tangling in the strands of the white shag rug. I staggered across the basement, to the storage room against the far wall, to the mountain of cartons and old furniture and piles of baby toys and old clothes, the room where I'd buried the mask, so deep in the stacks and stacks of junk that no one could find it. And now it was calling me, pulling me. Carly Beth, Carly Beth. Was the whisper only inside my head? The sound of my own name sent shiver after shiver down the back of my neck. I knew what it wanted. I knew why it woke me up and called me from my bedroom. It wanted me to uncover the metal box where I had buried it, to unlock the box and free it, to pull it on again this year, to let its evil sweep over me once more. The haunted mask was ready to take over my mind again and force me to do its evil. Here I was, stepping into the dark storage room, squinting at the piles of cartons and old furniture. Here I was, unable to fight it. My legs trembled as I lifted the first box, shivering in my thin nightshirt. I pulled the heavy carton off the pile and set it down beside me. Then I reached for the next carton. I can't stop myself. My voice came out in a choked whisper. I wanted to turn away. Instead, I bent and pulled the metal box out from its hiding place, an old black box with a heavy clasp. I let out a gasp. The box felt warm. What was I doing? Why couldn't I stop my hands? My heart skipped a beat. I made a choking sound as I unlocked the box and lifted the lid. Folded inside, the mask let off a green glow. Stop, Carly Beth, stop it. Don't do it, I pleaded with myself, but I was no longer in control. I wrapped one hand around the bumpy, bald head of the mask and lifted it from the box. A groan escaped my throat. The mask felt like human flesh. The pointed chin bobbed up and down. The rubbery lips made a bub-bub-bub sound as they rubbed together. I couldn't breathe. I let the box fall to the floor and raised the ugly mask high over my head. The sunken eye holes grew wider. The worm-like lips made their bub-bub-bub sound. The basement cold wrapped around me. My whole body was stiff with fear. I began to lower the mask, lower it over my head. I felt the warm, rubbery material against my hair. I tugged it down, soft as human skin. The mask slid over my forehead. And then, no! A shout burst from my throat, a scream of fear and anger. The force of the shout gave me strength. I pulled the mask up and jerked it away from me. No! You're not going to overpower me. I'm not going to wear you ever again. I gripped the warty cheeks of the mask in my fists. Then I gasped as the mask moved its rubbery warm lips. Bub, bub, bub. The lips parted, the fangs tilted up, and the haunted mask opened its mouth in a deafening scream. And that's chapter 1 of The Scream of the Haunted Mask. I hope you enjoy it. Thank you so much. Thank you. Oh, thank you. You're all too nice. You're too nice. Thank you so much for waiting so late and for coming. You really made my day. Thank you. Hope to see you all again.
This has been a presentation of the Library of Congress. Visit us at loc.gov.